Within the first 2 weeks of the Somme offensive of the 1st of July 1916, the British Army had made hard-fought gains in the southern sector of the 10-mile front. Fricourt, Montauban and Mamet villages had been captured on the first day or within days of the offensive opening. Field Marshal Douglas Haig, Commander-in-Chief of the British Expeditionary Forces in France, shifted focus to this area of the battlefield for further operations. Various small attacks in this area had a mix of success and failure, largely due to rush plans and a lack of coordination. However, the Welsh 38th Division had fought their way through and captured Mamet Woods after 2 attempts, yet the German second line of defences was still intact and faced any further efforts. The commander of 4th Army, General Henry Rawlinson, developed plans for the next large-scale offensive, the attack on the German line on the Bazentin Ridge. The Welsh capture of Mamet Wood meant that the British 15th and 13th Corps had a jumping-off point for the offensive, which was scheduled for the 14th of July. Haig and Rawlinson argued over the exact plan, Rawlinson pushing for and eventually getting permission to attack during the night, just before dawn. This was a change from the 1st of July attack, which had begun at 7:30 a.m. in full light. Also, Haig was concerned that Rawlinson's artillery plan was flawed, but he was later reassured that the British guns could dominate the German artillery during the attack. As it was, the operation had less guns than during the 1st of July attack, but the line to be attacked was far shorter. This gave the British artillery a better chance of supporting the infantry. The operation was to be undertaken by 5 divisions, 21st and 7th Divisions of 15th Corps, and the 3rd, 9th and 18th Divisions of 13th Corps. 15th Corps were to take Bazentin-le-Grand Wood, Bazentin-le-Petit Village, and Bazentin-le-Petit Wood. They were to consolidate a new line on this position. 13th Corps were tasked with capturing and consolidating Longueval, Delville Wood, and Bazentin-le-Grand Village. 18th Division was to capture Trones Wood in what was a separate operation using 54th and parts of 55th Brigades. The 2nd Indian Cavalry Division was in reserve to exploit any breakthrough. Facing them were the German 3rd Guard Regiment, the 123rd Infantry Regiment, and the 183rd Infantry Regiment to the north. The British artillery began a 3-day bombardment of the German lines from the 11th of July. The continual gunfire stopped the Germans from repairing their defences. The noise of the bombardment also allowed the British divisions to assemble in no man's land for the coming assault. Covering parties armed with Lewis guns took up positions while marking parties laid out white tape where the attacking troops would assemble. 110th Brigade led the attack for 21st Division, 20th Brigade for 7th Division, 9th and 8th Brigades led for 3rd Division, and 27th and 26th for 9th Division. Other units of the divisions were in support. At 2:45 a.m, the entire attacking force was in place and was undetected by the German defenders. However, a few casualties were caused by stray German shells. At 3:20 a.m, the British artillery unleashed a hurricane bombardment from 1,000 guns that lasted 5 minutes. Immediately after which, the infantry rose and went into the attack. 21st Division began their attack within 300 to 500 yards of the German front line. They stormed across the broken German defences and by 4 a.m. had captured all but a corner of Bazentin-le-Petit Wood. This last point was taken later that day at 7 p.m. 7th Division also began their assault close to the German front line. Both the 1st and 2nd lines of defence fell easily. Waiting until 4:25 a.m. for the barrage to lift, they then cleared Bazentin-le-Grand Wood and consolidated their line. 22nd Brigade passed through the newly captured area and covered the attack of the 2nd Royal Irish Regiment into Bazentin-le-Petit Village. The Royal Irish cleared the village with help from 110th Brigade. Despite being driven out to the northern part at 8:30 a.m, the Irish recaptured the position with the help of the 2nd Gordons of 20th Brigade. They then consolidated their gains against further German counterattacks. 3rd Division began their attack from a sunken road. 8th Brigade were held up by uncut wire until a company of 2nd Royal Scots broke through and bombed along their front line. 9th Brigade faced no such difficulties, and despite heavy machine gun fire from the village, they captured Bazentin-le-Grand. 9th Division were equally successful. The leading waves reached Delville Wood before a shot had even been fired, and despite a delay, 26th and 27th Brigades had captured all of their immediate objectives, including the edge of Delville Wood and most of Longueval. 18th Division had been ordered to take Trones Wood before the main attack began, and by 4:30 a.m, 54th Brigade had entered the wood. However, they were held up by a strong point until 6 a.m. Despite the attack losing its direction temporarily, the woods were completely cleared by 9:30 a.m. and consolidated soon after. The operation on the 14th of July had been a success. Apart from German defenders holding out in Longueval, the entire position attacked had been captured and consolidated. It may be easy to ascribe this to attacking during the night, but previous night attacks on the Somme had met with failure, so the reason for success is not that simple. The artillery had played an enormous part in the supporting of the operation. Had the wire not been cut or the German defence line still been intact, the results could have been very different. The 3-day-long bombardment had stopped the Germans from repairing their trenches, and the 5-minute hurricane bombardment had shocked the defenders so much that the subsequent assault was a rollover. This attack demonstrated the tactics of bite and hold. Small operational limits with enough artillery support to drive it through. The Battle of the Somme is usually seen as an unmitigated disaster with horrendous casualties for little gain. The night attack on Bazentin Ridge shows what could be done with meticulous planning and modern methods of attack. The Battle of Bazentin Ridge demonstrates that the British Expeditionary Force was learning its trade.